Welcome. My name is Penelope Chatterton. Welcome to Awaken the Dream. My friends, I have an old friend, a new friend, a young friend back with me. His name is Jim Calvin. Nice to see you, Jim. It's been, what, 4 years we decided?
4 years since I've been here. And nice to see you. Thanks for inviting me back.
And you were in robes last time, and now you're in your favorite T-shirt.
Yes.
And you are a Zen man, and we're going to talk about loving and compassionate as we come into this existence. So why don't you help me with where we're going on this program,
Sure.
so I don't put my foot in my mouth.
I will start out and you leap in.
Okay.
What I'd like to talk about today is 4 things, and loving and compassion will fit into it. One is psychology, especially neuropsychology, how we think, how we perceive and think. Next is Zen. Zen is a word which means mindful awareness meditation. Talk about our thinking and talk about the kinds of thinking that cause suffering for ourselves and others and how to get out of that and back to loving compassion.
Yes, where we start.
Yep.
So what about the psychological, the neurological part?
The neuropsychological really fits in well with Zen. Because what we know from neuropsychology, I'm a clinical psychologist, if that matters to anybody.
It does. So you know what thou speaketh.
I hope so. All the things like being a psychologist or an abbot or whatever.
The abbot of the Zen Center.
Cape Cod Zen Center on my t-shirt.
And what are you're a teacher, and it's pronounced Bodhisattva?
Bodhisattva teacher.
Bodhisattva teacher. So
okay, let's answer that.
Yes.
A bodhisattva is a person who vows to spend his or her life alleviating suffering.
That's a wonderful mission.
Seems like a good idea.
I think that's excellent. Okay. How's it going?
How are you right now?
Very good. Thank
Good,
you.
there we go. That's it. That's all there is.
That's all there is.
Neuropsychology, without getting complicated, is giving us a lot of information about how we perceive things and how we think. First, perception. Every second, there are thousands of little bits of information that come in through our eyes and our ears and so on. Everything in my field of vision, you, chair, rug, table, everything, that's all coming in through my eyes, and that's just your eyes. But what your brain does, it filters out the stuff that's not important. That chair way over there has been sitting there for an hour. You don't need to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And so your brain will process literally only 1 or 2 things a second.
Huh.
And so what we focus on are things that we deem important or that we're focusing on, like, you know, looking at you right now. Also, movement gets our brain's attention.
Okay.
And so where that runs into Zen is if we are not paying attention, being mindful, if we are thinking, then we're not going to pay attention to what's going on right now. Looking at you, seeing you nod your head, and so on.
Yeah.
That's my attention. Right now. If I'm thinking about, oh, what should I have for supper tonight?
You might miss out.
I'm missing this moment. I'm missing what's going on with you.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
It's very interesting. And so that's one of the reasons I practice Zen. When we do Zen meditation, we just pay attention.
Yeah.
We sit silently and sit still and just watch and listen what's going on. And our mind will start wandering off, and at which point you go, oh, okay, I'm thinking about such and such. Just come back right here, right now, green tablecloth, that's it.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
And where that gets particularly interesting is when we're thinking, we're not paying attention. And a lot of psycholinguists will say, well, you're thinking all the time, and we tend to think about the past, our memories. We're thinking about the future, what might happen tomorrow, what might happen next week.
Yep.
We're not here right now.
Yeah. The now is missing.
The now is missing.
Okay.
And that's all that there really is.
Yes. That
But
is-
it gets, oh, go ahead.
No, but that is true.
It is, it's very true.
Yeah.
And what gets even more interesting, though, going back to the neuropsychology part of it, is our brain has a huge influence on what we perceive. You've heard the saying, seeing is believing?
Yeah. No.
No. Mm-mm, not at all. Believing is seeing. What is in your brain, what's called cognitive structures, has a huge influence on how we perceive things. For example, I'll give two brief examples. One is recently, this month, October, there's a big fight going on down in Washington, D.C. And what you get is one side says, I'm right, and you're wrong. And the other side says, no, I'm right, and you're wrong. Well, that's impossible. They can't both be right. And yet they believe it so strongly.
Yeah.
That's how they perceive things.
Yes.
You're shutting down the government. No, you're shutting down the government. That's their belief system.
Yes.
That's not mindfully perceiving the reality of things.
Yeah.
The other example is a more
That's a
fun
good one.
example. It's a
Like
good one.
the
and
red mind and the blue mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Years ago, 15 years ago, I had an interest in UFOs.
Ah.
Long story, but I'll keep it short. If you go out on a nice clear evening, and if you have 10 UFO believers with you and 10 non-UFO believers with you, and you look up into the sky and you see some lights, the 10 believers will say, oh, absolutely, that's a UFO, I've seen it a million times, there it is, and the non-believers will go, you're crazy, no such things. But we are so influenced by what we believe, and that's why we get stuck. That's why it's hard to compromise. For example, getting back to Washington.
Yeah, yeah. So it's what someone has taken in and tucked away in their conditioned mind, in their storehouse, that they will whip up and project it out.
And that's it. And our beliefs and our values are dependent on those, and they're pretty hard to change.
Yeah.
Now this gets into the topic that we kind of picked. What do you believe about baby nature when babies come into the earth? Some people, some religions will say, and I'm not questioning anybody's beliefs, you're born with original sin. That's how you come into the world. Buddhists, and the belief that I choose, is you come into this world pure and kind and loving and compassionate, and then the world influences that and gets messed up.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I recognize that neither of those beliefs is true. I choose one because I'm comfortable with it and it fits with my view of life.
Yeah.
But I know that my brain has come up with that idea, just as other people's brains have come up with the idea and hold on to the idea of original sin.
Yeah. So it's hard to look at that little thing and see anything but the purity.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's true for me.
Yeah.
And
That's been
for
my
a lot
experience.
of people. Yeah.
So we have the duality going on. We have this, we were talking about that word earlier.
We have a duality, and actually duality is one of the things that changes that pure, kind, innocent little baby into thinking.
Yeah.
Dualistic thinking. Good and bad.
Yes.
Black and white.
Right.
Male and female. That's one kind of thinking where we put things into categories, and then that's where you are.
Yeah. Good and evil.
Yeah, good and evil. And that's okay for convenience. Like, you're a woman, I'm a man. But I recognize that my brain, made that up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Didn't someone tell you that?
Somebody told me that, but then whoever told me that was told that before, and somebody told them that before.
Yeah.
I mean, not to get too much off track, but I work quite a bit with the LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community. And for me, All the folks that I run into are individuals. Here's how
Yeah.
you are. You're not a man, you're not a woman, you're
Yeah.
not straight, you're not gay. Tell me about you. Who are you?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, because they have hearts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the problem with dualistic thinking is it usually comes down to, well, you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong. And then we have ethnic groups, religious groups, whatever,
Yeah.
decide that they need to battle to
Yeah,
to
and a
sort
common
that
theme
out.
I've heard is folks think, gee, I can't do anything right. Something is
Oh.
embedded where, you know, that undercurrent of, oh,
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a great one. In my
I
teaching,
work with that one.
Yeah. I was just talking about that with some of my students. I teach graduate counseling classes, and we were talking about that very same thing, that some people with some problems, psychological problems, one of them is, I'm not so good, I can't do anything right. And my favorite story, true story, is somebody came into my office years ago, properly dressed, came in for an appointment at the appointed time and came in and said, I just can't get anything right. And I just looked at this client and I said, how did you get here today if you can't do anything right?
you made it this far.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for you.
So that's our beliefs again.
Yeah. I like this whole thing that you're the analogy of the neuropsychology and Zen, because to think that science, how that science feeds into what you're trying to help us
Yeah.
with today,
Yeah.
about the effects and the life of silence, which can cut into and dissolve, or
It does.
Yeah.
It does dissolve it because you just observe.
Yeah.
You know, this light green tablecloth isn't good or bad, right or wrong. It's just light green.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And when people, and there are lots of fun arguments, when they say, well, it's night and day. I said, fine, you come over to my house at sunset and you tell me if it's night or day.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah. Deepak Chopra once says, sit with your headache and see what happens.
exactly.
Just stay in it.
Yeah.
Stay with it, feel it, let it just
That's right.
do its thing.
And that's true. That's a great line because it's true of everything. I had someone come up to me not too long ago. They were about to give a speech, give a talk to 100 or so people. And this person said, I'm nervous. And I said to her, fine, just be nervous.
Yeah.
Because we make something out of being nervous. I'm nervous, therefore there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
No, nervous is a human condition. Grief is a human condition.
Yeah.
Just, you
Be
know,
okay.
Be what you feel.
Yeah.
Be okay.
22 years ago when I started this program and I was doing some monologues, they wanted to send me home because I kept turning pages and shaking, and I just kept showing up.
Yeah.
And and I burned it off. I felt like I was just burning something away. Slowly it dissolved, but
Yeah.
it was an assignment.
Yeah.
That fear.
If you can get to the point, and it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
but if you can get to the point where everything is okay, and Zen talk, everything is complete,
Yeah.
then it's a wonderful place to be, because in that place of everything is okay, there's no fears,
Yeah.
no worries, nothing to be afraid of,
Yeah.
including dying, no problem.
Yeah.
Dying is a natural event.
Yeah. You've been sitting for some time,
Yes.
and it's changed your life?
Oh, I feel like it has, and I hesitate to say that because I don't want to be the poster child for meditation. You know, come to the Cape Cod Zen Center and you'll feel better. No,
Yeah.
it's just happened that way, and a lot of people it happens for them too, but that's not an expectation, because an expectation is another kind of thinking
Yeah.
that. You're hoping for something, expecting something, and then if that doesn't happen, you're disappointed.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because if it does happen, if you become a bodhisattva teacher, you go, oh, how wonderful, I'm so happy. But then if that goes away, if you lose something, then you're disappointed.
Yeah.
Much better just to be happy and okay with each moment.
Yeah.
right here, you and I talking. That's it. It's wonderful.
So you can help folks reeling in their opinions. I mean, opinions, lots of opinions, and views and perceptions and their past, all what the earth plane has given us, and help them to work it through and know it comes from something else, the past, the future.
It comes from a lot of things. We say in Zen, you know, what am I? I am not a skin-enclosed ego. I am the product of everything that was ever said to me, done to me, that I experienced, and so on.
Yeah.
And so we are that. And that's what forms opinions, amongst many other things. The thing about opinions is there's nothing wrong with opinions as long as they don't run over your life.
Yeah.
I mean, like we had an election almost a year ago. I went out and voted for certain people. That's kind of a preference, not a, it's got to be this person or else.
Etched in stone.
Yeah.
So that was good. And you're open to hearing debates and taking things in and mulling it over. But sitting in your sitting is helping folks to find the now, to locate it as they, I mean, this is the technique in the sense that they get to observe all of the scattering thoughts, and they're not to whip themselves, beat themselves up. They're just supposed to come on back, just keep come on back.
Just right here, right now.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about meditation, when we say meditation, most people think, well, you're going to sit quietly for 20 or 25 minutes. And yes, that's right. But it expands into the rest of your life.
Yeah.
When I'm driving a car, I'm paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, brake lights come on in front of me, I slow down because I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
So it does expand.
So it brings all your moments into the now.
Yeah.
That's very healthy.
I think so.
Yeah. And talk about peace and serenity and taking something that's wigging you out and dissolving it and maybe talk about the process, the creative process of how long can that take. For some it could be 2 seconds, for others years.
If it's something big like loss of a loved one in grief, it can take a while.
Yeah.
The Zen perspective on that is not so much how long it takes, but can you use that to be a bodhisattva and help other people? For example, if you've lost a spouse or a parent or a loved one or God forbid, a child, you're going to have a period of grief of however long that is. But Zen says, okay, don't abandon your grief, but use your grief to help other people.
Yeah.
Maybe go do some hospice work or whatever.
Yeah. What our emotional issues can be as we work with them, we certainly want to. I mean, it's almost, I would think, a natural flow for us to say, that might be a mission. Where can I take what I have been through to make someone's life better? Because I have a few tips.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's exactly what a bodhisattva does.
Yeah.
Take each of mine, anybody's individual experiences and background, and how can I use that?
Yeah. Yeah, everyone, I always feel, has something special. We all come in and there's something special that lights our fire, so to speak, and gives so much to us that we have to share that. I think that's creativity. I keep thinking of how we really are pulsating. We need to be sharing. It's important to be sharing.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's important to find our own path. What does that mean?
Yeah.
I mean, for example, when I was a teenager and a young adult, the way I was brought up was with very high expectations. You study hard, you get good grades, you don't just go to college, you go to a good college. That was all, those were the rules, in other words, the expectations.
Yeah.
And for me, at that time, and I'm grateful for those things now because it helped me with my education and career, but at the time, I felt like I wasn't running my own life. And so I took that and I translated that into, it's my life, what are my choices? Not expectations, but choices.
Okay.
So I I was going to say I dropped out of college. I flunked out of college. But when I was ready a couple years later, when it was my plan,
Okay.
my life, then it was easy.
Sure. You knew.
I knew.
Yeah, I know. I've been in some of my studies. They say don't always let your neighbor tell you who you are and what you should be doing with your life. You know, you might think, well, look how successful he or she is.
Right.
I mean, but that's not you.
It's not you.
Yeah.
Listening to feedback, fine.
Yeah.
But running one's own life,
Yeah.
and that gets kind of back to psychology and counseling.
Yeah. Something just came to mind about folks who really get into terrible problems that become folks that are murderous or who really go to great depths of danger to other folks. They can be rehabilitated, and that I would think would be just a wonderful, not only a challenge, but to see someone make this major who reflects such horror.
Yeah. It is a challenge, and it depends. There's so many different psychiatric, if you will, problems, everything from life situations like being unhappy in a job to serious situations like a murderer or a killer or somebody who's flagrantly psychotic.
Yeah.
And it's very rewarding to work with that and help people turn themselves around. I've never turned around a single patient or client. They turn themselves around.
I never like it when I hear on either Law and Order, he's a sociopath, he can't change, this is who he is.
Yeah.
That's a troubling message.
It's very troubling to me. We each one of us is overall a fairly consistent, stable personality, stable moods and behavior and so on.
Yeah.
But we can change, and we do change. Otherwise, we'd all be the same as we were half a century ago.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to be that.
No.
I mean, I treasure all the bad experiences I had because I learned from them.
Yeah. All my lacks have given me a lot. All the detours and the dead ends that I would not be who I am if I hadn't taken those roads thinking this was going to serve me in some way. Yeah, I have a lot of resilience. So, you know, I can swim in it for a while. And then it's very interesting in this creative universe how things do short circuit, and the things that aren't really you, know, we burn them off and another door opens. And
absolutely.
It's very exciting.
Open. And to have the courage to do that, which is another idea, you know. I can't do that. I can't go back to school at age 70.
Yeah.
Says who?
Yeah. Exactly.
Just
Listen, we have 5 minutes, and I want you to help our friends with you. We've got these brains, and they're all conditioned. To help them, I mean, if they're listening, they may be saying, well, gee, I'm doing all of this based on something that someone told me. Now, who am I? So let's go back to Zen. Your advice would be maybe to rein it in, or sit in it. Or does your heart like it, or doesn't it?
I wouldn't rein it in, because that's, I think, a naturally occurring process. Sitting with it is good.
That's what I sort of meant by rein it in. But bring it in here to the heart. Can you, does that?
You can say that. What I'd suggest is a term I remember from the 60s, a long time ago. Question authority. And that doesn't mean be psychopathic, sociopathic, do whatever you want, because Zen talks about great freedom, doing whatever you want.
Yeah.
But it's all responsibly.
Yeah.
We decide what's responsible. So question what's been told to you, what you believe, and see if those are working for you. And then slowly try new things, new ways of thinking, new ways of behaving, new ways of talking and acting.
Yeah. Because the now is within everyone. It's interesting. I think that's where our faith maybe can come, where what isn't you won't stick around. Somehow or other, you'll question that. Somehow that will move.
Yeah.
That will move itself. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jim, this is very exciting. You have, how's the Zen Center going? Want to tell our friends where it is? We've only got a couple of minutes.
Easy to do. The Zen Center is doing well. We have 5 practices a week at the Cape Cod Zen Center, which is at 169 North Main Street in South Yarmouth. And all you have to remember is Cape Cod Zen Center. Google that,
Yeah.
and you'll find us.
Yeah, we've got that in our lower third, so people will find it.
Yeah.
And you also do the Tuesday morning still?
We do Tuesday morning meditation at Barnstable Unitarian Church. We
Okay.
do, but that's on our big schedule too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, all right. So I'm delighted it's going well. And I've been in that beautiful sanctuary, and it is exquisite. It's so peaceful. And they have to learn how to put the robe on.
In time.
If they do it wrong, it doesn't matter.
There's not a robe test. You put it on enough times, it goes on just fine.
It'll do it by
If you,
itself.
if you don't know how to tie the ties on the robe, just tie a bow
Yeah.
like you do on your
Yeah.
shoelaces.
Yeah, in our last minute and a half. So sitting with something, let's say it's uncomfortable in our soul. Let's say something's nagging at us in our last minute. This isn't almost fair, but take
That's
that.
okay.
What do you do with that nagging feeling? Sit with it?
Sitting with it, but you can do other things too. Talk to a teacher, talk to a friend, talk to
Yeah.
somebody, because there are reasons behind that.
Yeah.
And slowly getting to the bottom of those things
Yeah.
is the key.
Yeah, human beings. Talk to human beings.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful idea. We didn't say that, but of course.
I mean, for example, one of the things we do at the Zen Center is we have interviews with teachers, myself and,
Yes.
and other teachers. You can sit down and talk about stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That's
And I'll
wonderful.
say something like, "Where did you get that idea?"
How healing.
Yeah,
Well, thank you, Jim.
you're very
Jim Calvin,
welcome.
after 4 years.
Yep.
But you've been in my mind, and I see I look up to your Zen Center website, and always remember the nice friendship we have. So thank you for joining me
Likewise.
on Awaken the Dream.
You're very welcome.
And thank you, my friends, for joining us on Awaken the Dream, and I will talk to you again soon.